Welcome to the Unlist. The title of the video, Unloved. I am talking about unloved fragrances. Not under the radar fragrances. People know what they are. Reviews of these fragrances are out there for anyone to read. But the general consensus is they are just not very well liked. And they happen to be fragrances that I own and I enjoy. So I find it difficult to believe that so many people dislike these perfumes. But it may not be outright hatred. It may not be negative reviews every single time, but it'll be a lot of sort of middling or neutral, leaning towards dislike, meh, as they would call it, meh reviews, right? Mid, as the Gen Z would say, with the broccoli hair and the pajamas on. See, I embrace the Gen Z, because even though I don't have the broccoli hair, I too partake of the pajamas. And I see many of the Gen Z broccoloids out in public eating at restaurants in pajamas. So I'm like, my people. I have found my people. But in any case, just unloved. And maybe with a little charisma on my end, I don't have any charisma, what am I saying? But with a little bit of persuasion in some sort of way, maybe magically assisted persuasion, don't have any of that either, working on it, I can convince some of you to give these a try, right? They aren't as bad as all the reviews seem to paint them. And I don't want to say that I'm right and everyone's wrong, but I feel like there's a lot of misunderstanding going on with some of these. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first one is going to be the one I'm wearing, which is what inspired this video. And it is a fragrance released in 2005. So it is technically vintage now, 20 years old. And it is a flanker to the popular Stetson fragrance called Stetson Black. Now I've got 2 more bottles of this stuff. And it's not because I'm necessarily trying to hoard these bottles. It's not really it. It's just that basically they're small. I have 3 of these because they're small. And well, maybe that's one of the reasons why the fragrance is not really all that well known or appreciated by people. It's because you got to buy 3 of these to get 4.5 ounces. So like a standard 125 ml bottle of something else, like this. This is a 125. So 4.2, so a little less than 4.5, but all of these could fill just this. I'd rather have just one, but I can't, so here. That's part of the problem. And I feel like when Cody released this was released back when Cody still owned Stetson. Cody no longer owns Stetson. They no longer had the license, at least. But back when they marketed this fragrance, and here's the splash version, and here's the spray. They didn't really do a good job of making this stand out on its own, because it came in the identical packaging as Stetson itself was using at the time. Stetson is no longer using this bottle either. They're using something else now. But regular Stetson had a clear version of this bottle. And this one, being Stetson Black, comes in a black version, obviously, of that bottle. So the thing here with this, it smells fantastic. It is a carnation leather fragrance. So if you're a fan of Balenciaga Hohan Club from 87, French Line by Revillon from 84, both discontinued, Aubusson Futuros, also from 87, also discontinued. If you've smelled any of those and you like that sort of what I call dark cherry kind of smell, where the carnation mixes with the pyrrolone materials or the isobutylquinoline materials, and it gives you that kind of dark cherry vibe, dark sour cherry sort of vibe. If you like that, then you should, by all rights, you should like Stetson Black. But a lot of people compare this to Drakkar Noir, and it doesn't smell anything at all like Drakkar Noir whatsoever. It does not. So, I mean, I've got it right here, okay? So, yeah. People who think this is a third-rate copy of Drakkar Noir, no. No, not even in the same. Just like I said, some people are just, I don't want to say that they're nose blind, but it's like their nose works, but their brain does not. I don't know, man. There's such a thing as perfume literacy. They need to get some. Now, one thing this is close to, I will say, is another Cody created fragrance. This guy right here. Preferred Stock from 1990. So, there is a bit of a link to Preferred Stock and Stetson Black. So, if you want to make the judgment call that it's a little too similar to Preferred Stock, yes, I can accept that argument. I think they're different enough to not be redundant. And people seem to generally have a good opinion about Preferred Stock. People like Preferred Stock. People in the vintage community like it too. I've seen people talk about it and buy bottles of it, blah, blah, blah. So again, like, where's all the love for Stetson Black? Especially now that it is also discontinued and also 20 years old. Unless the new company that bought Stetson is remaking this, they might be, I don't know. But regardless of how you feel, if you do decide to give this a shot, this is the biggest bottle you're going to come in. So if you like it and you decide you want backups, you're going to need a whole lot of bottles. And even though I don't like people hoarding bottles, I think it's dumb to have 15, 20 bottles of anything. I think that's, you have 15, 20 bottles of all your favorites, and let's say you have a collection of like 300, 500 perfumes. Now you've got like 4,000 bottles. That's a perfume store, dude. That's a perfume store. I made videos about this in the past. How just ridiculous it is. And if you are not one of those people, you still have like my cordial permission basically to buy like a ton of these, because 3 of these equal 1 bottle of anything else. So if you're going to want 3 or 4 backups, you're going to need like 9 of these. So it's kind of stupid, like I said. I mean, I think this 4.5 ounce, so about 150 mil, this is good enough. I don't need more than this. It's fine. It's a good smell. I don't understand why more people don't like it. Now, another fragrance that doesn't really seem to get any love, and I don't understand why, is this one right here. Klein Man. This came out in, I believe, 2006. It could be 2007. My computer's not open, so I'm not going to try and do the whole let's check Wikipedia, let's check base notes. I don't care. Okay. So, all I know is that this came out in the mid to late 2000s. And it is a nice violet fragrance. And men in the online fragrance community seem to enjoy violet. And I like violet. You know, you're someone who likes Fahrenheit. You're someone who likes Green Irish Tweed. You're someone who likes other violet fragrances like Chiton, sadly discontinued. Maybe you like Burberry Touch. That's another good violet fragrance, violet leaf fragrance. Okay? So you're someone who just generally likes a good violet note in a man's fragrance. Why wouldn't you like this? It's got a nice violet note. It's got patchouli. It's got some herbs. It's got a tiny bit of sweetness in it, but it's not like sweetness on the 1 million level or sweetness on the Eros level. It's just a sort of sweetness that takes the edge off of what would otherwise be a very harsh green fragrance, right? Because violet, just raw violet on its own, it can be a lot. Okay, it can be a lot. So it's just a very well balanced, nice, rounded, smooth violet fragrance. Bit of complexity, bit of mandarin orange in it. Like I said, it has all the hallmarks of being someone's signature fragrance if they enjoy violet. But when it came out, it was unloved. The stuff is still like inexpensive to find, although newer bottles of this won't have the nice like foil label all the way across. It'll be smaller. It'll be like only fill up a small portion, and the rest of the bottle is going to be just glass. It's a stupid cost-cutting move from whoever makes these now. I think Cody still makes them, I'm not sure. But I think this is classier. And I didn't back this up. I don't need to back this up. I've got a lot of other violet fragrances. So I'm not saying that this is amazing or like the best violet fragrance in the world. It's not. But it's really good. I mean, it's good enough that I've been satisfied with owning it over the years. And typical Calvin Klein style has the cool, all the Calvin Klein's bottles are always very presentation friendly. If you're someone who likes to show off your bottles, Calvin Klein never fails to give you a cool bottle. Maybe the newest one, like Defy, is not great, but jumping to another fragrance, same brand, is this one. This one's older. This is from 1999. Now it's from 2006 or 7. Another one that people just don't seem to like, and I don't understand why. It's fantastic. It is something, it's in between a green fragrance and more of a semi-oriental fragrance. So if you want to like say it's somewhere in between like a Mousse de Cartier Pour Homme and like a Gucci Envy, I know those are both very sought after, discontinued fragrances. So you're like, wow, if it smells like those two combined, it should be an absolute monster. And you're right. Except this is not strong like either of those. This is a more subtle fragrance. So it's kind of got a dewy freshness to it. It does have the green notes of like a Gucci Envy. And it does have some of the balsamic, some of the resinous base notes of like a Mousse Pour Homme. But it's got a certain freshness to it. And that freshness with a bit of ginger, a bit of other green notes, juniper, things like that. And the patchouli is more on that camphoraceous side. So it gives this a bit more of like a sticky, sappy kind of green smell. And yeah, it's right up there in that same wheelhouse as things like Dolce & Gabbana by Man, things like Carven Homme, things like Aura Men by Giacomo, another fragrance that I think more people should like. But I wouldn't say Aura Men is unloved. That one's more along the lines of under the radar, unknown. People would like it if they knew it existed. But this one is known, but people just don't seem to like it. And again, quirky, cool bottle. You see this, you're like, oh, is that all the perfume we're going to get? Just that little tiny bit? What is this nonsense? And I'm like, oh, haha, fool you. It's a whole bottle underneath. It's like the swindle of the century right there. But yeah, And especially because you got all these guys looking for the next great unloved vintage. That's the thing. You have these guys out there who are just waiting for the next hype, waiting for the next unicorn to pop off, right? So, and I'm like, why are you looking for the next thing to become rare and sought after and expensive? Why are you waiting for the assholes to hand you the next thing, Chase? Don't do that. Go look yourself and find plenty of old fragrances that are 20, 25 years old or more in that vintage territory. And they're just things that have been picked over by the snobs, by the tastemakers, by the gatekeepers, right? So those are the things that are going to be really, really enjoyable. They're going to smell good. They're going to smell unique. But some asshole on a forum who's trying to hold court is going to tell you that it's not a good fragrance, so you're just going to ignore it. And look, it's only 20, 30 bucks. Can't be any good. I want this $300 one that's being scalped over here, right? I'm like, don't play that game. Don't play that game. That is such a stupid game to play, right? Two great fragrances right there. Unloved. Like, people review them. They don't think they're good for some reason. And again, I feel like they have either incorrect expectations or they compare it to something that's more popular. That's the thing. People are trying to compare that Stetson Black to Drakkar Noir, and it doesn't resemble Drakkar Noir in the slightest. So they go, oh, this is a piss poor copy of Drakkar Noir. Well, no wonder it doesn't actually smell like Drakkar Noir. That's why it's a piss poor copy. You know, don't be an idiot. And again, the Calvin Klein Man got a lot of like middling reviews early on. People didn't understand it. I don't think people really wanted a violet fragrance like that in 2007. They didn't really want a violet fragrance. So it got glossed over. And now it's cheap and unloved and you can buy it anywhere. So people go, can't be any good. It's inexpensive. It's available. I want the rare thing. I want the thing that all of the, forum people and all of the YouTubers are saying is a masterpiece. That's the thing I want. Because they're telling me to get that. And it's $300 on eBay. So that's the one I want. Just don't do that. So, another fragrance that I think is kind of known but sort of unloved. And I'm avoiding Avon, by the way, because the entire house of Avon is basically unloved. So if I was going to show you Avon fragrances in a video about unloved perfumes, I would just take the entire collection off the wall and throw it at you. Here's all 100 and some fragrances. These are all unloved. So I'm not going to include any of those. Not this time. I think it just kind of goes without saying that Avon in general is underappreciated. Just in general. The whole house. Kit and caboodle. Underappreciated. No need to go there. But yeah, here's one that's kind of unloved. And it is this guy right here. Fosablin from 1994. And I'm guilty of being a unlover of this. I'm guilty, okay? So he who is free from sin may cast the first stone. I am not casting stones. I was guilty. I am a very late comer to this fragrance, as evidenced by how little I've used of it. But I have seen the light, and I appreciate it now. And I feel stupid for waiting this long. So, Fosablin has a kind of interesting story anyway, as a house. They were started by some guys, and their brand became associated with vacation, with like tropical type apparel. And eventually they went from just a tailoring outfit in California to becoming like a full-fledged couturier, to making dresses and suits and stuff for celebrities, the jet set, the typical Hollywood jet set. And then at some point, they got big enough to begin launching boutiques around the world, and they did. They launched them mostly in the US first, then international boutiques later. And then they decided to make perfumes. And they partnered with none other than the Bogart Group, which is the same group that has Jacques Bogart, so, you know, one-man show. Lapidus perfumes like Lapidus Pour Homme. They used to have Balenciaga, so things like Ho Hung Club, Balenciaga Pour Homme, Creation, Rumba by Balenciaga. Creation's a Ted Lapidus fragrance, but those were all under the Bogart Group. Chevignon's another one that used to be owned by Bogart. And then, of course, they got Fosablin. And Bogart, as you might realize, Bogart is not a brand that likes to make mild, light fragrances. So even though the brief called for a fresh fragrance, something that was going to be competitive to like an Eternity for Men, competitive to a Cool Water, competitive to something of that stripe, right? Like a Bob Mackie or something. But it's Bogart, so they're physically incapable of making a weak fragrance. They cannot make a weak fragrance. So they made that fresh fougere style of thing, but they made it really big. Really, really big. So I've got a sample of it up here that I'm actually working through before I begin cracking open this one. I bought this one after enjoying this one. My friend JB sent me this. So, hey JB, what's up? Here's your sample. Love it. Had to buy it. And yeah, it's strongly more on here than it is on here, actually. It's not, this hasn't been sprayed yet. But, so, how do you make like a powerhouse fresh fougere? How do you do that? Easy. You go really big on the white floral notes. So, this does have your prerequisite linalool style Eternity. Not quite lavender, but like a linalool style Eternity. It's got big hedione, so Jasmine hedione is in this. It's got big orange blossom, big heavy orange blossom. So it's going to have some similarities to Lapidus Pour Homme with the sweetness. But then it just kind of goes hard on that jasmine. It's got ylang in it. It's got rose in it. And it goes over a sort of amber, sandalwood, and a very thick white musk base. So it's got some of the aquatic elements in the opening, like your dihydromercinol is going to be in here. Okay. Not really any Kalone, though. None of that stuff. But it's just a fresh fougere that's been cranked up. And the extra floral notes, like the rose, like that ylang, like the orange blossom, narrowly pumped up in the heart, really just kind of sends a wall of freshness your way. And honestly, that might be why it's not crazy popular. And then the other thing too is people smell this and they don't really know what to compare it to. So again, you get a lot of mediocre reviews, middling reviews. People smell it and they're like, it's kind of like Eternity, but it's kind of like CK1, which came out the same year as this, by the way, 94. It's kind of like Eternity. It's kind of like CK1. You know, it's kind of like this. It's kind of like that. Doesn't really smell like any of them, but it kind of smells like all of them at the same time. And I'm just like, no, not really. Like, and again, it comes down to a little bit of like not being literate with what you're smelling. The big orange blossom in this is nowhere to be found in either Eternity or Cool Water. Ylang is also not really to be found in either of those fragrances. So this is just a big old white floral sort of jacked up fragrance. A little bit of fruitiness, okay, because the orange blossom gives fruity undertones. And honestly, what this is closest to, if you really want to say, it's not a fragrance that a lot of people even know about, honestly. So that's the kicker. Is the thing I could compare this to is not something that people even know about, and it's a Salvador Dali fragrance. This guy right here, Leroy Soleil Homme from 1998, I believe. This is a Gerard Anthony composition. And this takes a similar thing where a fresh fougere, but it's got rose in it, it's got orange blossom in it, it's got more of a floral. This has a papaya note as well, so this has got an actual fruity note to it. But it's very, just kind of, I want to say, fancy and dandyish, which is not something you get too much from a fresh fougere from the 90s. And again, the Fosablin is a big, heavy, but still clean fragrance. And it just, people always complain that 90s fragrances are not powerful. They don't have good projection. They don't have good sillage. And I'm like, bro, right here. Right fucking here. Bogart solved the equation. Okay, it solved for pi. It found the full 3.14 infinite numbers all the way to the back. It found every single one of those numbers, stretching on forever. It has given you the answer you seek. You want a 90s fresh fragrance that lasts like an 80s fragrance or like a modern day beast mode fragrance. Gotta get this. Ignore all the middling reviews, all the confused people who don't know what to make of it, okay? Just ignore them. Listen to me. I'm telling you. I am the captain now. Look at me. Look at me. I am the captain now. I'm telling you. Fosablin is good stuff. Now, this was carried exclusively by Nordstrom for a while. So I don't know how well known it is outside the US. Even though it's a French name, don't know how well it's known outside the US. So if you're in Europe, you may not be able to get this. If that's the case, it's alright, I understand. But otherwise, the Bogart Group no longer owns this brand. So the new owners have moved this fragrance into a different bottle. It won't be in this bottle anymore, but if you still want this bottle, you can still get it. It's still out there. But this is the older bottle of the fragrance. The new one is like a square bottle now. And now, one more Unloved fragrance for you, and then we will wrap this up. One that I find that not a lot of people seem to really like. Gets plenty of reviews, but most of them are kind of like, meh, kind of middle of the road. This fragrance right here, Brit by Burberry, 2004. This really should be more popular than it was. And I say that because a lot of y'all like men's rose fragrances. A lot of y'all like clean white musk fragrances. A little bit of like ginger and eucalyptus in the opening. A little bit spicy, a little bit clean. Like a very dry, ostensibly British rose presentation. Literally Creed, Royal Mayfair, which came out after this, by the way, like 2015, after Aventus. Creed Royal Mayfair. This came out a whole 11 years before Creed Royal Mayfair. And I've made my suspicions that Creed Royal Mayfair may be a mod of this, or actually maybe a mod of Carnal Flower, which is a similar kind of fragrance, more of a tuberose though. This has got a little tiny bit of that kind of warm, buttery, floral muskiness, but there's no tuberose in this like there is in Cardinal Flower, obviously. But it's a similar spicy, clean, white musk, woody rose fragrance, okay? And you don't want to pay the Creed price for the Royal Mayfair, especially now that the older one's been vaulted and a newer one, which is supposed to smell similar to or close to the same. I don't know. Haven't tried it. Get a bottle of this. But the reviews for this read so bad. The reviews read so bad. People, again, don't know what to make of this. They're like, it's boring, or it just smells like nondescript this or nondescript that. Like literally the same people who highly rate Royal Mayfair will trash this. So I'm like, I don't know. And they're not the same, okay? They're not identical. They're not. But here you go. Here's my Royal Mayfair. This cool velvety label, right? I'm like, yeah, that's good. That's good. It's a little more. The Royal Mayfair is a bit more peppery than the Brit. But I smell this one. Okay. Smell this one. And yeah, you could definitely sub one for the other. For the price, you don't have to get this bottle. This is the older bottle. The new ones have like the hatch that goes diagonal, right? The diagonal hatching. But whichever version you get, I don't care. My point is, it's Unloved. Again, people know about it. It's not like it's under the radar, but it's Unloved. But this is a great white shirt fragrance. This is a great blazer fragrance. This is a great early spring or like mid-fall fragrance. Summertime might be a bit of a tough sell, but it's just so good. I actually have backups of this. That's how good it is. So, I don't know, man. There you guys have it. There are some Unloved fragrances for you. I could think of some other ones in my collection that I could do a part 2 on. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. We'll see. But there you guys. Get out there and get smelling. And sometimes you just have to ignore the haters. Because then you miss opportunities on good fragrances. This has been the Unlist.